Good morning, everybody. We are now beginning Module 13, which is going to be about understanding the concept of a radical sign, a radical symbol, or a root. If you recall, we just finished working with rational expressions, which were fractions. Now we're going to delve into working with radical expressions. So you have to understand a radical expression is going to be an operation in math. And we all know the famous phrase to remember our operations in math. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And each of those beginning letters reminds us of an operation that we use to perform something on numbers, real numbers. So we all know if I go backwards, the S stands for subtraction, the A stands for addition, the D stands for division, the M stands for multiplication. Well, those are your four basic operations you learned to work with numbers since first grade. One of the things about elementary school is you learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, real numbers. Well, then E we've talked about this semester in these modules. We know E is exponents, and we understand an exponent is repeated multiplication. So that's an operation you perform on real numbers. Then we get to P, and we all memorize P to stand for just parentheses. Well, parentheses are a grouping symbol. They hold numbers together. Well, there's not just one grouping symbol in math. So that P is deceiving. It doesn't just mean parentheses. It means any grouping symbol in math. Well, so far in this course, we've seen parentheses, and we've also seen the square brackets. And both parentheses and brackets hold numbers inside, but they perform the operation of multiplication. We've already seen this semester in this course that if you have a number in front of brackets or parentheses, and it's right next to it, you would do the distributive property. You would multiply. Well, ladies and gentlemen, parentheses and brackets are not your only other grouping symbols in math. The grouping symbol we're going to focus on in this module is your radical symbol, your radical sign, or your root symbol. And if you look at your PowerPoint, the root symbol is the check mark symbol. It's the check mark. And that means you're going to do an operation. You're going to do something to the number or the variable that's inside. Now, the first thing I want you to note is do not get it confused with the long division symbol from third grade mathematics. Again, if you look at the PowerPoint, the long division symbol from third grade was not a check mark. It was a curve. So I do not want you to get confused. Do not think a radical sign means to do division, because it does not. It's a totally different symbol. Okay? Now, when we work with a radical sign, there's got to be a term inside. That term inside is called the radicand. And it could be a number or it could be a variable. If you look at the PowerPoint, I have an example. It says the square root of 9. Inside that radical sign, that root symbol, the radicand is the number 9. That's the number we're going to do the operation to. Okay? Now, also with a radical sign, there is a small itty-bitty number called an index. Sometimes you see it written, sometimes you don't. In that expression, the square root of 9, there is no index written. If it was written, it would be to the front of the square root symbol, and it would be a little number, kind of like in the little check mark. A square root does not write its index. Anytime you see a square root symbol, the index is not written, it's understood to be the number 2, which means square root. But if you look at the PowerPoint, at my other expression, it says cube root 27. So I see the check mark, the radical sign. I see inside the number 27, that's the radicand. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take 27 and do an operation to it. The operation we're going to do is cube root. And the reason why I call that one a cube root is because everybody look, can you see the little itty bitty 3, the index? That's to the left in front. So that's important. If we're doing a root and it's a square root, you will not see the index. If we're doing a root that's a cube root, a fourth root, a fifth root, you will see the index. So when we're dealing with the radical sign, besides having the actual symbol, the check mark symbol, you'll have a term inside called the radicand, and then you'll have a little itty bitty number to the left, which is called the index. What our goal is to do in this module is to learn how to work this symbol? What operation does it mean to do? I'm going to see you in the next module, and we're going to discuss that. Thank you.